I was delivering food in 102-degree heat when I ran into some customers arguing, a father and son. They were both handsome as hell, and they had matching fiery tempers. The man's forehead vein was practically throbbing. She's a high society debutante willing to stoop to be your stepmom. What more could you possibly want? The little boy stood on the dining table, face blank, his voice dripping with sarcasm. She looks like a witch. If you like her so much, you marry her. Then who do you want as a mom? The delivery was about to be late. I had to interrupt their heated argument. They both snapped their heads toward me. The next second, the boy lunged forward and hugged my leg. I want her to be my mommy, the pretty lady. As a man got closer, I realized he looked really young, like a college kid. To think he got married so young. His kid looked 5 or 6. He looked like he was trying to get rid of a hot potato and just blurted out the question, "You willing to be a stepmom?" I discreetly scanned his 6,500 square foot penthouse. Prime real estate, lavish decor, every detail screamed old money. I nodded like a bobblehead. Yes, sir, absolutely. Delivering for DoorDash versus marrying into wealth. The choice was pretty obvious. I'm a closer. This was my second time being transported into this world. The first time, I successfully closed the brooding villain, collected my $100 million reward, and made a clean getaway. The second time, the system found me again. It was even more generous this time. Complete the mission, and my dad would be brought back to life. I agreed. Only after I was transported did the system give me the details. It said the brooding villain wasn't brooding anymore, but the son I'd left behind when I faked my death was getting darker by the day. He was becoming cold and heartless, looking like he was ready to take over the family business of being the bad guy. So this time, my mission was to redeem the little villain. I refused flat out. The last time I ditched the villain, he'd sworn he'd hunt me to the ends of the earth. How many lives did I have? Why would I walk right back into the lion's den? The system tried to appeal to my emotions. Don't you want to bring your dad back? My dad comes back to life, but I get myself killed? You think he'd be happy about that? Aren't you even a little worried your son will turn out bad? His own father isn't worried. So why should I be? My sass made the system crash on the spot. And it crashed at the worst possible time. It had already erased my first identity, and this time, it went offline before even giving me a new one. I was a ghost. I had no choice but to get a fake ID from some shady spot under an overpass and start delivering food. Sigh. The weather's brutal, and my life sucks. At least I landed a sugar daddy today. Even if the system never comes back online, I can survive in this world now. The little boy tilted his head up and called out to me softly. Mommy, will you be my mommy? Matthew will be really good and listen to you. I crouched down and kissed his little cheek. It was so soft, like a little marshmallow. Sweetie, why don't you go watch some TV? Mommy will come play with you in a little bit, okay? He instantly blushed, nodded obediently, and scampered over to the sofa, turning on the TV himself. After he was settled, he looked back at me with a hopeful glint in his eye. I smiled and gave him a thumbs up. His eyes lit up, his face grew redder, and his little body straightened up, proud and endearing. The man watched the whole thing, his eyes wide with shock. What the hell? Is he possessed? Or did you slip him some kind of love potion? You have no idea how difficult he is. He's withdrawn, has a vicious tongue, throws things when he doesn't get his way, and runs away from home when he's upset. To scare off the stepmoms I found for him, he's put snakes, cockroaches, and centipedes in their purses. Don't talk about him like that. He can hear you, and it's not nice. I instinctively retorted. Afraid he would back out, I decided to strike while the iron was hot. The courthouse is still open. We should go get the marriage license right now. Shouldn't we? Let's sign the agreement first. The man produced a contract, as if by magic. A prenup. I get it. Standard procedure for the rich. I thought I was mentally prepared. But when I saw the terms of the agreement, I realized I wasn't prepared enough. The agreement specified a contractual marriage, no wifely duties required, with a monthly salary of $250,000. My sole job was to take care of the child. Reading it felt like getting knocked out by a gold bar falling from the sky. The man saw me frozen in place and got anxious. Is something wrong? If the amount is too low. Quick, give me a pen. The pen was in my hand before the words were even out of my mouth. It was obvious. We were both desperate. It felt like we were both terrified the prize goose was about to fly away. It wasn't until I had scribbled my signature that the man finally let out a long sigh of relief, a grin spreading across his face. Sister-in-law. Matthew's all yours now. Wait, sister-in-law? The man's name was Owen, and he said the person I was marrying was his older brother. Fine by me, as long as it wasn't his dad. I took in stride. Owen touched his own face, still hung up on the case of mistaken identity. Do I look that old? I'm only 22. It's just that you two look so much alike. Oh, Matthew actually takes after our grandma. My brother and I are half-brothers, same mom, different dads. I look like my mom, and he looks like his dad. He launched into a sob story, a litany of complaints about how his brother was a terrible person who just dumped his own son on him. The poor guy had been playing Mr. Mom since his freshman year of college, tormented by this little demon. Other rich kids were out chasing girls or hitting clubs. And him? He was mixing baby formula. He'd been living this miserable life for 4 years. Until last month, when he finally snapped and suggested his brother get married and find someone to raise the kid. His brother's deal was, if Owen could get Matthew to approve of a stepmom, he'd marry her. Owen was ecstatic. In just 1 month, he'd paraded at least 100 potential stepmoms by Matthew, if not more, but the little monster disliked them all. Until today, when Matthew took one look at me and made his choice. Owen's eyes welled with tears. Sister-in-law, you're my savior. I gave a dry laugh. Happy to help. Just then, Owen's phone rang. He glanced at the screen, and his face lit up. It's my brother. Wait till I tell him the good news. Are you sure it's good news and not a heart attack? How's Matthew been? The deep male voice on the other end of the line was strangely familiar. I hear you've been making quite a splash, auditioning every single unmarried heiress in New York. The man continued in a flat tone. That strange sense of déjà vu made my skin crawl. I quietly sidled over and glanced at Owen's phone screen. A familiar face came into view. He was even more handsome and captivating than I remembered, so much so that it was hard to look away. My heart pounded in my chest. Owen's brother was Landon, my first target, the brooding villain I was supposed to close, the one I abandoned and ran away from. Holy crap, it's a small world. Owen giggled. Hey, cut me some slack. I won't mess around anymore. I've already found your wife. Landon was stunned for a second. Then his voice suddenly shot up, sounding broken and shaky. You found my wife. Owen was startled, but quickly recovered. Bro, you misunderstood. The wife I'm talking about isn't Chloe. I mean a new wife. Landon cut him off coldly. Owen, yeah? You only have one sister-in-law. Owen instantly grew frantic. But you said you'd marry whoever Matthew liked. And Matthew really likes this. I didn't say I wouldn't marry her. Landon's voice was weary, with a hint of stubbornness hidden in his low tone. But it's just a contract. I only have one wife. Owen's eyes reddened, and he vented, biting back his words. For years, you've turned the world upside down looking for Chloe, sending out PIs nonstop. You say you want to kill her, but really? You know damn well whether you want to kill her or win her back. What's so great about her? She's a vicious woman. She abandoned her husband and son without a second thought. A woman who won't even care for her own child doesn't deserve you pining for her all these years. Landon's voice was ice. Enough. The air grew terribly still. Owen froze, then threw his hands up in surrender after a moment. Okay, I'll shut up. He casually changed the subject. Bro, you want to see your contract fiancé? And with that, Owen whipped the phone's camera around to face me. My soul just about left my body, but my body reacted faster than my brain. Just before my face was exposed, I snatched my delivery helmet off the table, slammed it onto my head, and then dropped to the floor, face down. Owen was stunned by my maneuver, his face a mask of confusion. Miss Catherine, what are you doing on the floor? I didn't dare speak, afraid he'd recognize my voice. After all, I had recognized his. There was no way he wouldn't recognize mine. Say hi to my brother. He tried to pull me up. I used every ounce of my strength, digging my fingers into the carpet. As we wrestled, Landon's voice came through the phone, cold and detached. No need. I have a meeting. I'm hanging up. The call ended. Owen let go, panting, and collapsed onto the floor. Where do you get all that strength? You're just weak. Weak? Owen shrieked like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, rolling up his sleeves to show off his biceps. Suddenly, there was a loud crash from the kitchen. I bolted toward the sound. Matthew had fallen to the ground. A stool was on its side, and pizza was scattered all over the floor in a mess. He looked at me, completely at a loss. The pizza got cold. I want to heat it up in a microwave, but I'm messed up. As he spoke, his voice grew quieter, his big, dark eyes welling up with tears. I didn't mean to. I'm not a bad kid like Uncle Owen said. The snake I put in that witch's purse was a toy. That lady was on the phone saying that after she married Dad, she'd have her own kids and sell me to human traffickers. Mommy, please don't be mad. Don't leave me. A sharp pain stabbed at my heart. Clearly, he had heard Owen's complaints earlier and taken them to heart. I shot Owen a furious glare, warning him to watch his mouth. He looked away, guilty, and rubbed his nose. Turning back, I pulled Matthew into my arms and comforted him gently. Why would I be mad at you? You're the smartest boy in the world, sweetie. You even knew to heat up your own pizza when you were hungry. You're way more capable than Mommy was at your age. A small smile touched Matthew's lips before he demurely suppressed it. He asked timidly, Really? I nodded emphatically. Of course it's true. How about Mommy makes you some noodles? I make the best noodles. Owen, who had just finished cleaning up the pizza, heard me mention noodles and poked his head in. I want some too. I looked at Matthew. Sweetie, do you want to share with your uncle? Matthew frowned, then reluctantly agreed. Okay, I guess. Just a little bit. The noodles were ready in no time. The broth was clear and savory, light and refreshing. Both the big one and the little one ate with expressions of pure satisfaction. I noticed a thick photo album on the bookshelf. I opened it. All of Landon's pictures had been cut into single portraits, but they were clearly all couples' photos we had, taken together back in the day. How much must he hate me? He couldn't even spare the photos. A thought flickered in my mind, and I probed. Why are all these photos cut in half? Where's the other part? Matthew's voice was tinged with sadness. The other half is my mom. Dad cut her out of all the pictures and burned them. He won't let us even mention her in the house. I've never seen what my mom looks like, but the first time I saw you, I just knew my mom looked exactly like you. He looked at me, his eyes sparkling. I gently ruffled his hair, murmuring to myself, Sweetie, your mom really does look exactly like me. Owen finished the last of his soup and set down his chopsticks with a satisfied sigh. I've never seen her either. By the time I reconnected with my brother, that woman was long gone. Miss Catherine, anyway, Matthew likes you, and you're beautiful. Why don't you try to seduce my brother? Matthew, and I can be your wingman. My brother is the most eligible bachelor in NYC. He's only 30 and already runs a multinational corporation. He's not just successful. He's also aloof and abstinent. No woman has been able to get close to him in years, putting him miles ahead of all the playboys in our circle. I know virgins are in vogue right now, and my brother's been married before, so he's technically secondhand goods. But given how rich he is, you could just turn a blind eye, right? He grew more and more excited, as if victory was already in sight. You're already his contract wife. My brother gets back from his trip next week, and will sign the papers with you. You have the home field advantage. You can definitely win him over. I'd already made up my mind. I would spend the next few days with Matthew while Landon was out of the country. The moment Landon returned, I was out of there. So I gave him a non-committal answer. Nah, I'll pass. Your brother's such a great catch. Wouldn't be fair to him, would it? With the kid present, Owen couldn't get truly angry. He lowered his voice, his tone, somewhere near a growl. I'd rather it be you than that vicious woman. Honestly, I was starting to feel sorry for Owen. He was like a clown. If he knew that the woman sitting right in front of him was the very same vicious woman he was railing against, the one he was fervently encouraging to seduce his own brother, he'd probably have a complete meltdown, right? It wasn't like I hadn't seduced Landon before. The first time the system sent me into this world, Landon had just been kicked out of his family home. The boy was rail-thin, his long bangs hiding his cold, sharp eyes. It was pouring a frigid autumn rain, and he was huddled under the eaves of a garbage collection station, his long limbs tucked awkwardly beneath him. I held a black umbrella, watching him from a distance, and asked the system, "Is that him?" The system confirmed. I walked over and noticed his face was unnaturally flushed. He seemed completely out of it. I reached out and touched his forehead. It was burning hot. I tried to help him up to take him home, but even in his delirium, he stubbornly refused. "Why are you helping me?" I said all the right things, but the boy remained obstinate, meeting my words with silence. I was out of options. I leaned down and kissed him on the lips. "Because I like you." His face instantly grew hotter. He was still silent, but at least he was willing to come with me. Landon's father had beaten him black and blue simply because he defied his wish to go into politics by applying to MIT. His father disowned him and used his connections to block his admission. I used the system's power to help him. Back then, he was studying at the university, and I supported him by running a small noodle stand off campus. Landon was a man of few words. Most of the time, I couldn't guess what he was thinking, but he knew how to care for me. We didn't have a washing machine, so he washed all our clothes by hand. He did all the housework, and he was always there on time to help me close up the stall. He was a big name on campus. Someone took a picture of me and posted it online, saying the girlfriend of the computer science god, Landon, was just some hick with a food stall, using me to mock him. Landon tracked down the culprit that very night and got into a huge fight. He got hurt, too. I was furious. As I bandaged his wounds, I snapped, "People will say what they want. Let them talk. I don't care, unless you care. Landon, be honest. Are you embarrassed that I run a food stall?" Landon cried. Big, fat tears rolled down his cheeks. First, he whimpered that I was being mean. Then he apologized and promised he would make it big and give me a good life. He was so damn tempting when he cried. I couldn't resist teasing him. "So why didn't you win the fight? Is it because you don't have abs?" "I did win, and I do have abs." "Really? I don't believe you. Unless you take off your shirt and show me." Landon didn't fall for it. "You're just trying to trick me into taking my shirt off. You make me sound like some kind of pervert." "Fine, whatever." I turned to leave. Landon immediately wrapped his arms around me from behind, begging like a sad little puppy. "Don't go. I'll take it off. I'll show you, okay?" That night, I had my way with Landon. Seducing Landon. I really was a master at it. That night, I was reading Matthew a bedtime story. I noticed his bedroom was huge, but it was done in a cold, minimalist black and white style, completely lacking any childish charm. When I was pregnant, Landon would hold me carefully as we planned the baby's room. We'd talk about what we'd do for a girl versus a boy. Landon drew up the blueprints, and I provided the ideas. Two novice parents lost in our happy little world. But now, the child was here, but the room we dreamed of was gone. I couldn't stand it. After getting Matthew's okay, we got to work and gave his room a major makeover. The final result wasn't exactly what we had imagined back then, but you could see traces of it. It was a cheerful, warm space with a sunny yellow theme, full of childish fun. I even hung a painting I did myself on the wall. It was one of my favorite minions. Matthew loved it too. He treated it like a treasure, taking it down every day to dust it off before hanging it back up. One day, I was about to bake a cake for Matthew when I got a call saying he had gotten into trouble at school. The teacher said he'd gotten into a fight with a classmate over a little girl and it made the other boy's head bleed. I rushed to the school. In the principal's office, I saw a familiar face, the story's female lead, Susan. The boy Matthew had fought with was none other than Scott, the son of the female lead, Susan, and the male lead, Mr. Goo. My mind went blank. The long dormant system suddenly reappeared in my head. It spoke in a low, ghostly voice. The villain role that Landon failed to fulfill is now being passed down to Matthew. I was completely confused. According to the original plot, after you went offline, the female lead was supposed to appear and warm Landon's heart. He was supposed to slowly forget you and start competing with the male lead for the female lead, acting as a rival and a catalyst for their romance. But instead, he completely ignored her and focused all his energy on finding you. It doesn't matter if he really wanted to kill you or not. The point is, he was so obsessed with finding you that he never even gave the main couple the time of day. The main couple got together too easily. Their marriage, untested by hardship, is fragile. So now the plot has been rewritten. Matthew is the new villain, fighting with Scott over the little female lead. I listened, finding the whole thing absurd. Are you insane? They're just little kids. The system was matter of fact. Exactly. Childhood rivals tangled up together. It makes for much better star-crossed drama when they grow up. I scoffed, but I didn't have time to deal with it right now. The teacher was on the verge of exploding. Matthew is a violent child. We can't have a student like that in our school. Matthew's small body was curled up in a corner. There were 2 bright red scratches on his face, his eyes filled with stubbornness and hurt. For a moment, it was as if time had rewound, and in Matthew, I saw a shadow of the Landon I first met. I took his small hand. It's okay. Mommy's here. Scott's forehead was cut and bleeding. He looked much worse off than Matthew. Susan's eyes were filled with pain for her son, but she remained rational. Scott, can you tell Mommy why you were fighting with your classmate? But Scott shoved her away violently. I'm the one who got hurt, and you're siding with outsiders. I don't want a mom like you. I want my grandparents. He sat on the floor and began to howl. An elderly couple rushed into the office. The old woman hugged Scott, cooing over him. The old man walked up to me. He suddenly raised his hand and slapped me hard across the face. It was so sudden. I was completely unprepared. I never thought he would be so aggressive. A fiery sting spread across my cheek before I could even process what had happened. Seeing me get hit, Matthew started wailing. He threw himself at the old man and bit his leg through his pants. The old man yelped in pain and tried to kick Matthew away. This time, my reflexes were faster. I pulled Matthew behind me, shielding him. As the old man raised his hand to slap me again, I slapped him right back just as hard. A crowd had already gathered at the office door. Some were even filming with their phones. The teacher saw this and blocked the doorway, telling everyone to disperse. The old man was trembling with rage. You bitch! Your son dares to hit my grandson, and you dare to hit me? Do you know who I am? You mess with the Goof family, and you won't live to see tomorrow. Quite the threat. A cool, deep voice sounded from behind me. The hand I had on Matthew's shoulder trembled. Landon was back early. My body went rigid. I could feel Landon walk up and stop right behind me. With my back to him, the hairs on my neck stood on end. I held my breath, too scared to move, too scared to turn around. It'd give me a front row seat to watch the old man's face change faster than a Sichuan opera mask. 1 second, he was arrogant and menacing. The next, he was bowing, nodding, and scraping to the person behind me, a sycophantic smile plastered on his face. Mr. Landon, what an honor. How did you find the time to come today? That West Side project our Goof family is working on. We're so grateful for your help. Really, today was just a small matter, my grandson fighting with a classmate. No need for you to get involved. With that, he straightened up, pointed at Matthew in my arms, and barked at the teacher. Expel this little brat immediately. I don't want to see him again. Landon spoke coolly. Get over here. Matthew reluctantly walked over, head down, and mumbled, Dad. The old man's face turned into a painter's palette of clashing colors. He stammered, Mr. Landon, this child is your son? Landon's tone was chilling. Mr. Goo, you certainly are impressive. You want to expel my son, Landon's son, just like that. The old man was so terrified he dropped to his knees and began apologizing. An assistant stepped forward and said politely, Mr. Goo, let's get up first, shall we? Our families can sit down and talk this through, figure out what really happened and who is at fault. As for your grandson's medical expenses, Landon Industries will, of course, cover everything. Owen walked up to me. Thanks for today. I was on my way to the airport to pick up my brother when I heard what happened at the school. We rushed right over. I waved my hand, indicating it was nothing. He then turned to Landon behind me and introduced us. Bro, this is Ms. Catherine. He gave me a little push, signaling for me to say hello. But I was like a rusty robot. I creaked as I tried to turn around. I just couldn't make my body complete the motion. Landon frowned slightly. This bizarre woman had kept her back to him the entire time. Was she that ashamed to be seen? He was just about to walk around to face her himself when his phone suddenly rang. It was the private investigator. Mr. Landon, we found a trace of Ms. Chloe. Landon froze for a second, then whispered, What did you say? We tracked Ms. Chloe to an overpass a little over a month ago. She got a fake ID. Landon dropped everything and strode out the door. The assistant stayed to handle the fight, while Owen and I took Matthew home. The car ride was torture. I sat on pins and needles as the system mocked me. Following the fake ID lead, they'll find you soon. You can't run. I growled back, shut up. After all the chaos, Matthew fell asleep in my arms. I held it in for the whole ride, my brain working at top speed to come up with an escape plan. It wasn't until we pulled into the garage that I finally had an idea. I lowered my voice and whispered to Owen, I want to terminate the contract. Owen's eyes widened. Why? I put on a mournful expression. After all this time together, I've realized I've fallen for you. I can't marry your brother. Owen was stunned. The emotions in his eyes shifted from confusion to shock to shyness, and finally, to conflict. His handsome face turned as red as a baboon's rear. Why you? How could you? My eyes welled up, and I looked at him pitifully. How could I fall for you? I know it's not right. That's why we have to end the contract. But I'd have to pay $5 million in damages for breaking it. I couldn't get that kind of money if you sold me into slavery. So, Owen, can you just let me go? Owen was silent for a long time. Finally, he stammered, his expression still shy. What if, and I'm just saying, what if I told my brother the contract's off, and that you and I are together now? I was speechless. I felt the helpless frustration of someone who'd been crushed by the very rock they'd lifted. The system cackled in my head. I never knew, host. You've got the constitution of a succubus. Seeing my silence, Owen grew anxious. My brother will definitely agree. He doesn't even like you anyway. He's completely obsessed with that vicious woman. He's only marrying you to get a nanny for Matthew. If we get together, Matthew will be happy too. Matthew had woken up at some point. He wrapped his arms around my waist, his voice choked with tears as he pleaded, Auntie, please don't go. I felt like I'd been struck by lightning. Oh, for the love of God. As we were at this stalemate, the flick of a lighter sounded from outside the car. I followed the sound. My gaze met a pair of deep, dark eyes. Landon was standing a short distance away. His tall, lean body was slouched casually against the wall, a cigarette held between his fingers. The smoke curling around him made his features look exceptionally cold and severe. Chloe. He stubbed out the cigarette and walked toward the car, step by step. He leaned on the open window, his eyes locked on me. Or should I call you Catherine? Owen was completely lost. Bro, what are you talking about? How can Miss Catherine be that vicious woman? Chloe? There must be some mistake. Landon let out a cold laugh. You think I wouldn't recognize my own wife? Or were you hoping I'd be wrong? So I'd back off and let you have her? Dream on. Owen's face went pale. No, bro, isn't her name Chloe? Her name is Chloe, and it's also Catherine. Catherine is the name on the fake ID she got. No matter how many names she has, even if she returned to Ash, I'd still recognize her. I couldn't help but talk back. You wouldn't recognize me as Ash. You didn't even recognize my back at the university. Landon was so angry, he let out another cold laugh. He yanked open the car door, swept me into his arms, and strode toward the elevator. Matthew called out from behind us, Daddy, where are you taking Mommy? Landon answered through gritted teeth, Matthew, you're sleeping at your uncle's tonight. Daddy's taking Mommy to make you a baby sister to play with. Owen stared at Landon's retreating back, clutching his head in disbelief. How can this be? Why is the story going this way? Am I some kind of joke? Matthew, wise beyond his years, patted his shoulder kindly. It's okay, Uncle. Daddy will make Mommy stay, so she won't leave us. Landon carried me all the way back to his apartment. The second the door opened, he pinned me against it and kissed me fiercely. His fiery embrace enveloped me. I felt like a stick of butter melting in the sun. After all these years, Landon's kissing skills had somehow improved dramatically. I pounded on his chest. Landon released me. His eyes were deep and hot, his voice impossibly hoarse. Chloe, don't reject me. You don't hate me anymore. He kissed my lips again. His mouth moved to my sensitive earlobe, my neck, the hollow of my shoulder. I never hated you. But, no buts. Baby, are you sure you want to talk right now? All these years, didn't you miss me at all? I missed you so much. And I missed you too. He held me tighter. His hand rested on the small of my back, the heat seeping through my thin clothes and onto my skin. A shiver ran through me. Leaning against him, I could feel the hard, hot pressure against me that was impossible to ignore. My face was burning, but I wouldn't be outdone. I used to be the one doing the teasing. How could I let Landon get the upper hand after just a few years apart? I kissed his Adam's apple as it bobbed up and down. I miss you too. I dream about you every night. They weren't exactly innocent dreams. You were very creative. Sometimes gentle, sometimes rough. I'd cry until my voice was hoarse, begging you to stop, but you wouldn't. You just coaxed me into calling you Daddy. You'd buy me all these pretty dresses and make me role play with you. We left our mark in every corner of the house. But every time I woke up, it was just a dream. As expected, Landon couldn't take it. He suddenly dipped his head, his hot mouth descending on mine again, conquering me with a wild frenzy. Chloe, he murmured against my lips, his voice both tender and demanding, every word searing. It's not a dream. Open your eyes. Touch me. You'll see this is all real. His arms wrapped around me. The force was stunning, as if he wanted to crush me into his very bones, to never be separated again. I leaned into his embrace. I could feel the violent thud of his heart against his ribs. It slowly synced up with the frantic drumming of my own. He carried me to the bathroom. The tub was huge, more than big enough for two. Lost in a haze of passion, I clung to his shoulders. My body felt like it was humming with electricity as his kisses traced down my skin, small and scorching. It was like being in a warm ocean, tossed about by one crashing wave after another, rising and falling. The only thing I could do was hold on tight to him, my only life raft. We were tangled together all night. I lay on the bed, my body aching, completely drained. Landon emerged from the bathroom, the belt of his bathrobe loosely tied, revealing his long, toned thighs, defined chest, and a perfect eight-pack. It was all covered in love bites, my masterpieces from the night before. My stare must have been too obvious. Landon sat on the edge of the bed and pulled me into his arms. Want more? The fresh scent of his shower mixed with his unique, coolly masculine fragrance washed over me. I'll admit, I was a little dizzy, but my life was more important. I pressed my hands firmly against his chest. More? Are you kidding? My back is about to snap. He chuckled softly and began to massage me, slow and methodical. At first, I closed my eyes and enjoyed his service. But as he kept massaging, his hands started wandering to places they shouldn't, and the atmosphere shifted. By the time I tried to resist, it was too late. I was lost in his tenderness once again. In a state of half-consciousness, I felt him place a gentle kiss on the corner of my mouth. You're so sweet, baby. His voice was low, still slightly hoarse and damp from the shower. It was like a feather tickling my heart, making me itch all over. My head was spinning, and I started babbling. You're amazing too, Daddy. By the time I was fully conscious again, it was the third day. Landon was in the kitchen, wearing an apron, cooking. Matthew had been brought back and was sitting on the sofa, playing on a tablet. When he saw me, the little boy was overjoyed. He threw himself into my arms, chanting, "Mommy, Mommy, you're really my mommy." A wave of warmth filled my heart. Yes, sweetie, I'm really your mommy. Landon peeked out from the kitchen, a smile on his face. Honey, bring Matthew over. It's time to eat. Landon had prepared a full feast, all of my favorite dishes. Just like in our little rental apartment back in the day. I felt a little embarrassed. You should have made some of Matthew's favorites. Matthew grinned at me. If Mommy likes it, Matthew likes it too. After we ate, I was about to put the dishes in the dishwasher when Landon wrapped his arms around me from behind. Leave it. I'll get it later. I shook my head. It's okay. It'll only take a second. He kept hugging me, and I could clearly feel the significant change in his body. I glanced back at him, shooting him a sideways look. Matthew's home. Landon clung to me. I'll have the assistant take him to Owen's in a bit. I scolded him sternly. Give Owen a break. You've tortured him for years. Why did you dump your kid on him instead of raising him yourself? Owen's practically a kid himself. How could he possibly raise Matthew right? Weren't you worried your son would turn out bad? Landon looked aggrieved. I'm sorry, honey. You left so suddenly back then. My only thought was finding you. I just couldn't focus on raising Matthew, so I entrusted him to Owen. His mention of my leaving made me feel guilty, so I couldn't scold him further. After all, neither of us had been model parents. I'm sorry about what happened back then. I was about to explain when Landon cut me off. It's okay. I know everything. You had your reasons. I don't blame you. Just then, the system suddenly popped back into my head. Congratulations, host. The mission Redeem the Little Villain is complete. He will grow up to be a happy, well-adjusted young man. You can choose to stay, or you can leave this world and return to reality. I asked it in my mind, if I stay, can my dad still be revived? Yes, that is the reward for your successful mission. I hesitated. I really wanted to stay. I had abandoned Landon once. I didn't want to do it a second time. But I was afraid of staying for love, only to be betrayed by it in the end, left with nothing. And then there was my dad. He would be revived, but his daughter would be trapped in a small world, unable to see him. The system urged me on. Host, please make your choice. You only have one chance. I steel myself. I'll stay. The system seemed surprised and confirmed with me again. From this point on, no matter what happens to you here, you can never return to reality. I will also be leaving this world to proceed to my next mission. Are you sure you want to stay, host? I sighed. I was about to speak, but then I heard Landon's voice, low and menacingly cool, cut in. You damn system, are you testing me? My wife already said she's staying, and you're still pestering her? I could crush you like an ant, you know that? The system instantly felt a hand closing around its throat. I'm sorry, I was wrong. You think an apology is enough? I think you really want to die. A chill ran down the system's spine. It felt a mortal threat to its existence and began to tremble. Oh, okay. I can open a portal that allows the host to travel between the two worlds once a month. Would that be acceptable? Once? The system's face contorted in agony. 4 times a month. I really can't do more than that. Landon said flatly, fine, deal. Having witnessed the entire exchange, I was dumbfounded. Landon smiled and explained to me, these systems are just code. After all, did you forget what Landon Industries does? The world's top tech conglomerate. When you put it that way, it really wasn't that surprising. Most importantly, I could finally stay with the person I loved. Our little family of 3, living happily ever after.